Before I begin this, I want to start by saying that expressing my opinions and views has always been kind of a weakness for me. I genuinely struggle with it a lot. In this video, I aim to play devil's advocate to the hashtags used in this title. You've probably heard a lot about them recently, like hashtag where's the fair use and hashtag make YouTube great again. These hashtags are a movement pioneered by a lot of big name YouTubers. Channel Awesome for mainly where's the fair use and Grade A under A for hashtag make YouTube great again. And these people are infinitely more articulate, intelligent, and wise than I am, which is why I've refrained from saying anything to begin with. I guess I was just genuinely afraid that I'd be too ignorant to make a response. But I did my research, and while I feel like the aforementioned channels had their hearts in the right place, I don't really feel like the message is being translated well at all. Well, at least it's not being translated as well as it could have been. In this video, I aim to dismantle a lot of common questions and arguments that people have against YouTube. Something is definitely wrong. YouTube is definitely broken. But before we tessellate the pieces to make YouTube even better than it was before, we need to coalesce our voices and point the fingers at the people that deserve it, which hopefully will be conducive to a positive outcome. I'm totally open to being wrong and learning more. And all I ask is that before you put your middle finger up to YouTube, hear what I have to say and then make your own conclusions. If you need to catch up at all, I've listed a bunch of videos that you might want to go look at before you watch this video. The gist of it is, YouTubers are being taken down by copyright claims and strikes. Claiming a video is essentially denying the monetization of somebody's video because you're saying your content is on their video, so you deserve to be paid for it. However, striking a video can get you into some serious trouble, meaning you may not be able to monetize anything, no more custom thumbnails, sometimes your video lengths have to be reduced, and 3 strikes deletes your whole channel. Many people are very outraged because they feel like these claims are completely false. They try to contact YouTube, they don't really get through. Only the big YouTubers are the ones that get their channels back fast, while everybody else is just left to burn and die. The first knee-jerk reaction that I see a lot of people doing is a big middle finger to YouTube, right? And I totally see where you're coming from. It's a lot easier to just point at YouTube and say, hey, that's the problem. And I know you're not only taking that side because it's easy. You genuinely feel that YouTube doesn't care, that it's cold and unfeeling, and it's not unreasonable for you to think that way. Your line of thinking makes perfect sense. In Grade A's video, he expressed that he feels very similarly. While Grade A's video was very insightful, very fun to watch, had a multitude of excellent points, and it was very funny, I do have some problems with his line of thinking. So for starters, YouTube actually does care. These guidelines are in place for us. They might be outdated and plain bad, but they are here to protect our intellectual property. What we are seeing now is an abuse of the system, but not by YouTube, by greedy MCNs and greedy content creators, both of which have really malicious, terrible practices. The following example I'm gonna use might seem a little extreme, but I do think it illustrates exactly what I'm trying to say. All right, let's pretend there's person A and person B. Person A accuses B of murder. The police then arrest B. B didn't murder anyone, yet still that person got arrested by the cops. So should B be mad at the cop? No, B should be mad at A. A is the one that falsely accused B of a very serious crime. We're not talking stealing candy. We're not talking throwing Legos on the floor while your roommate is showering. We're talking murder, and because murder is such a serious crime, the cop can't afford to take any chances. A could be right, A could be wrong, it's not up for the cop to decide. And now B's just gonna have to hold that, because A's going around accusing C, D, E, and F of murder. And no matter what the cop thinks, because again, murder is so serious, the only rational thing to do with minimal risk is just to arrest all of these people and let them figure out what they're gonna do. Let them figure out all the legal paperwork. The cop does not have jurisdiction to pass judgment. Because here's the problem, if the cop stuck out their neck for B, yeah, maybe A would feel some whiplash. Then the cop sends you on your way, and he or she, being the cop, didn't really get much out of it. But what if that cop was wrong? There goes that cop's entire career. Maybe even the career of everybody that works at that police department. Now, assume the flagged and striked content creators as B, C, D, and whatever, the MCNs with their false strikes, and the corrupt content creators with their false claims, they are A, and YouTube is the cop. And the crime of murder, which is used in this example, you can just replace that for the copyright infringement of intellectual property. Except as an added bonus, when you make these false claims, oftentimes the person making these false claims gets to keep all the money that they're claiming. So they're getting financially rewarded by just being corrupt. Copyright laws are very serious, much more serious than you and I even think right now. And YouTube just does not want to take chances on these strikes. And that doesn't make them bad people or mean or anything. Since there's no black and white line to this whole ambiguous issue, they can't just pick and choose who to defend. Because again, if they're wrong, they're liable for potentially millions. The company's looking out for itself, and it can't help every content creator. Boogie2988 makes a point that says, well, if YouTube's willing to help these bigger channels, why doesn't he help everybody? Well, the reason is because these guys are making so much money for YouTube, it's worth it for the company to even take that risk. That's why there's this normative bias, where huge channels get these responses instantly, and smaller channels have to stay by the wayside. And again, that's just a sound business practice. And that doesn't make YouTube bad or wrong at all for doing that. And what's gonna suck about making this video the most is I'm gonna sound like the biggest douchebag here, but a lot of these smaller YouTubers and some bigger YouTubers that are complaining about their channels getting taken down, they're actually just guilty. And that's one of my biggest problems with these hashtags. You see these big name content creators retweet and comment on all of these stories when some of them are just wrong. But this movement that was originally for the people that are abusing these copyright strikes to take down things that are unjust, we've looped them all in together, and now I feel like we're not gonna get too far because we've included people that are just strictly guilty. And I don't think that's okay, and I think that's one of the wrong messages that we're sending with these hashtags. So what, smaller content creators just get on YouTube? Yeah, sorta. And what sucks even more is that a small YouTuber, probably in the eyes of YouTube, is anyone really shy of 2 million subs. And that's why I'm scared, and that's why I'm making this video, because I want to make sure that we're directing our focus and our anger to the right people, because I don't feel like I'll ever make it to 2 million subs. And it's just so scary to me that if you don't have a loud enough voice, your shit's gonna be pushed right under the rug. But sadly, I and my fellow content creators have chosen to pursue a career to entertain our fans, the people that love us, no matter how flimsy it may be. And that's why so many YouTubers are making books and making shows, because YouTube isn't forever. And this whole thing that's happening is one of the rudest awakenings to that truth I've ever seen. But even still, it's not YouTube's fault. They're just stuck behind some abusable laws. And the only reason why it's happening now is because these scumbags are realizing they could get rich off of it. The person who made the strike or the claim should be held accountable, not the platform in which the claim happened. And yes, right now we live in a system where there's a line of all this that we can't draw, and it's frustrating and it's angering, but guess what? YouTube can't draw that line either. Everyone wants YouTube to create this own committee where they all get together and decide what is and isn't fair use. But if they slip up one time, that's everything. Well, not everything, but they lose big money, and it's not worth it to them. It's not really worth it to save Vlogmaster76 with 40,000 subscribers. It's just not. Once again, Grade A Under Aid made a multitude of hard-hitting genius points, but I fear that he also looped in some not so accurate points, but because his accent is super adorable and he's really funny, everybody's watching the video like, I don't really know about that last one, but that accent though. Throughout his entire video, you see him pointing the fingers at YouTube, which is my only point of contention, and I believe is the most flimsy part of what he's trying to say. But one of the greatest and the most admirable points that he did make is he attempted to draw the line of what is and isn't okay. Which in summation is, if I watch your video, and if it's so much of that other person's content that I don't have to go back to the original channel, that's infringement. He hit the nail on the head with these react channels. Because why watch the original video when you can watch the original video plus a little extra? H3H3 is the perfect example of someone teetering on the safe side of the line of being transformative, and should be the example to follow when we decide what we can and can't do. He and Hia have almost unparalleled comedic genius to take someone else's ideas and put in their own social commentary, and they transform the content entirely and reference it only seldom. That's transformative. That's changing it almost entirely, which is why he's so influential. He's influential because he found a way to be a react channel, but he actually puts time and effort into his videos. Imagine that. Without blatantly stealing other people's content, Antonio. And it's clear that instead of sitting in front of a screen going, whoa, dude, crazy, he's actually out there creating a show and putting his heart and soul into the social commentary that he gives to you guys. I just feel like we're pointing the right fingers at the wrong people. And yes, while YouTube looks guilty, it's just a law that's being exploited. Change doesn't happen overnight, and I'd be hard pressed to believe that YouTube is just like, yeah, everyone. They're not twiddling their thumbs watching SoFlo Antonio's videos. For multiple reasons. I mean, one, they've been exposed to this flaw that's literally damaging their image in every facet. And two, because nobody would watch SoFlo Antonio. He's just the worst. People keep saying that YouTube is a scary place, and you know what? You're right. It is terrifying, but not because of YouTube. It's because these MCNs and these people are actually committing real crimes. These frivolous cease and desist actions are harming people civilly. There's so much you can sue them for. I Hate Everything recently made a video where he was copyright claimed 3 times wrongfully. That is something he can sue for. He should sue for it. Honestly, I think one of the best solutions is to crowdfund an expensive ass lawyer, sue that bitch, sue the MCN or whomever claimed or striked the video, so we can get some traction in punishing these awful unjust claims. And then we can show these greedy dickheads that we can push back. We're all angry. Okay, I get that, but we need to steer our anger in the right direction. But Sky, YouTube is allowing these false claims with their broken system. Both parties deserve anger. A counterpoint to that is the DMC takedown was literally made to shield hosts from liability, but also to force hosts to take things down immediately. It literally used the term hosts. So YouTube is the host. So they have to do exactly what the law says or they risk everything we said. It's not YouTube's broken claim system. It's a broken claim system created by the DMCA. YouTube has to follow it or they're gonna go bankrupt with potential lawsuits. But Sky, how is this not YouTube's fault? They don't enforce their own rules and they haven't done anything for the false flags. If you're actually asking YouTube to do more about bad takedowns, there's really nothing more they can do until they get something from the court that says that was a bad takedown. And what people don't get is almost 100% of takedowns that were rescinded are done so not because they are wrong, but instead because a settlement was reached. Like, yeah, we'll retract the takedown, let's just do a rev share and we'll split it 50-50, whatever it is, right? And all the public sees is, oh, it's a takedown, let's immediately witch hunt, even if it was in the right. Another thing is, calling out the CEO of YouTube, Susan, was just not the right move. She's not dumb, she's not ignoring us, she's the CEO of YouTube. People might invalidate this entire video because they saw Susan tweet saying that she was listening to Grade A, Under A, and I Hate Everything. I get that she responded, and she probably had the best intentions at heart, but that's not her admitting that YouTube is at fault. Low-key, she had no choice. She's not in the wrong, she's being lynch mobbed. I still don't think it was a good idea to tweet her. You gonna really trust the internet? Trusting your audience to tweet nice criticism to a woman online is the same thing as my current sex life. It's just not gonna happen. Some of you might be thinking like, okay, I hear everything that you're saying, that's all great, but YouTube still takes the money or they give it to the MCN. Should they be at fault for that? Okay, sure, but much like a straw man fallacy that has nothing to do with the underlying issue of what's going on right now. Where the money goes is still a byproduct of the shitty laws that the MCNs and corrupt content creators are taking advantage of. But you're absolutely right, YouTube probably could do something about, like, maybe if you prove that your video is undeserving of a takedown, you should get the money that you lost. Okay, that makes sense. But that's like step 12 of fixing YouTube, and we're still at step 1. And step 1 is recognizing who the enemies are here. It is not YouTube. It is the greedy MCNs that are using this abused law to get a little extra money. Because these MCNs, these content creators that are doing this, they don't care about you, they don't care about me, they care about their wallet. They're gonna guise it behind copyright because it's so easy to guise behind that, but they really just don't give a fuck about you or anyone else. That's why we gotta call them out. They need to be stopped. They're jeopardizing your entertainment for money. But I wanna impress to everybody the gravity of this situation. If we make the wrong moves or we rattle the wrong cages, we could blow this for everybody. Here's an example. Let's Plays haven't really been decided if we can use them commercially. Nintendo controls who can and can't do a Let's Play, and a lot of other companies just let it rock. There isn't really a court decision yet, but all of these cases are so flimsy. I'm just scared that if we're not careful, if we target the wrong people, if we focus the wrong target or targets, we may lose sight of the goal. And that could damn all of us and our efforts for good. So please, think carefully about who you're pointing at. We've got one bullet. Make it count. Look, I'm sure that somewhere here I'm incorrect. Somewhere I might have made a mistake, and some points you may not agree with me. And it could be because my opinion is much different than your favorite YouTubers. But I hope that you listened, and I hope that you enjoyed my point of view. I'm still very ignorant. Sometimes I get sad because I don't really know how to help people, or help the situation. And this is a wonderful example. Many people expect us content creators to have an opinion or know what to do, but that's never really been my strong suit. I've always kind of put my head down and just kind of hoped that it would all go away. But this isn't going away. These greedy people exist and they need to be stopped. But with that in mind, I'm privileged, humbled, and honored that I even get to share a space with such brilliant minds like Grade A, Under A, like the Nostalgia Critic, I Hate Everything, Boogie2988, again, just to name a few, because it's these people and many other people that have started this conversation that's very important. No matter what you believe, this conversation is very important to have. And a big thanks to Ryan Morrison, aka the Video Game Attorney, for enlightening us content creators and gamers into a world of law that we may have been too scared to delve into. Thank you for watching. I won't be using the hashtag #MakeYouTubeGreat because I believe YouTube is already great, and it's been great and it will still be great. And some corrupt, disgusting, greedy piece of shit content creators and MCNs will not stop me from producing the content that I love making for everyone. Because here's the thing, I'll sue the shit out of you. Try me. Woo! I do it for the love, yes I do. So you don't care about the money, well yes it's true.